Now, Dipo, as of June 2018, Nigeria has the largest extreme poverty population of 86.9 million. Now, as at that time, this represents about 50% of the total population. And the country is expected to be the world's third largest country by 2050. Is this a concern? And of course, looking at the federal government's 4-point plan to reduce extreme poverty, are we on our way to reducing extreme poverty?
I doubt that we're on our way. I think we're very, very far off from reducing poverty in Nigeria, looking at the real statistics, the real numbers on the streets today. Last year, 2020, June, this time last year, 2020, June, a crate of egg was going for around 800 naira, 900 naira. Today, it's practically double that price. The paint of Gary was going for 700, 750. Today, it's double that price. Practically every single food item that you have today that people have to eat has practically gone up by 100% within the last 12 months. For me, that is very troubling. And it isn't just about the price going up. It is also about the value of exchange that we have. The other day, I was in traffic and I saw a lot of hawkers on the road in the rain. And coming back, the rain had stopped and they were still there. And I was asking myself a lot of questions. That how much will these people take home at the end of the day? Some of them 1,000 naira, some of them 2,000, some of them 2,500 for staying in the sun and in the rain for 7 to 8 hours. Now the question is, how much are they going to be able to get in exchange for that amount of money on a daily basis? How are they going to be able to feed their families? I can tell you for a fact that the last time certain families had egg in their home was this last Easter that passed, because since then they've not been able to afford it. I mean, it's something as basic as egg. Now, I'm not talking about the chicken that laid the egg, because the price of that is a different conversation entirely. So the government needs to be very realistic about how they're going about these things. And I laughed when they said they lifted, I think, over 7 million people out of poverty, and would have loved to see how they went about doing that and how they intend to replicate it. But unfortunately, we've not been able to see any such thing. But somehow it has just become a form of rhetoric for them to come out once in a while to say that they've done this and they've done that. And for me, that is quite embarrassing. But for me, I would say like it's quite troubling, going by statistics saying that Nigeria will be the third largest nation by 2050. And then there's this deep-seated poverty in our society and in our nation. Also knowing that we have a huge issue around insecurity. Now, poverty and insecurity, if you look at them globally, in a way they go hand in hand. Because for somebody who hasn't been able to feed his family, or who
insecurity and farmers not going to farm and infrastructure, what about economic indices that shows that we're on our way to ending extreme poverty?
So this is it for me. The economic indices are there, but the practical realities are saying otherwise. Because, like I say, we like to tout numbers a lot. Numbers are very easy to put out there. But the realities on the streets, that's a very different conversation entirely. And that is where the economic realities are really biting hard. Now, if you come out and go to the streets and say that, certain economic indices are saying this and that, and then they ask you, what are the realities? Are people really getting better off? Are people being able to feed their families a lot better? Are people being able to afford to go to work every single day? People will tell you otherwise. So the question is, where are these numbers coming from? What are those indices? Who are those people compiling those numbers together? Because for me, indices or whatever economic numbers we're putting out there, they're practically useless if they are contrary to the economic realities on ground. And how to know the economic realities on ground is to go and visit people on the streets, to talk to people, to talk to regular Nigerians, talking about lifting over 100 Nigerians out of poverty. Have a conversation with those Nigerians and see how their lives are right now. A lot of people are finding it very hard to feed their families. A lot of people are finding it very hard to run their businesses out there. Those are the economic realities, which are quite different from the economic indices.
All right.
So the question is, where are the figures coming from?
All right, Smart. Now, he said, have a discussion with the people so you can form your economic, you can understand economic realities. But how far will this go?
Yes, you see, often I've said, look, when you carry the people along, the people should, if you have a continuous interaction with the people, you probably know where to help them. But this is the government that is too far from them. And that is why, again, often I have said, you see, it's unfortunate that we keep blaming the federal government and that is the presidency. The simple truth is that we should be looking at the local governments. The local governments are the closest to you. I pass through my local government secretariat or whatever at least once or twice in a week. The simple truth is that when was the last time I passed through Aso Rock? When was even the last time I passed through the governor's office? You see, the local government, they are always doing it wrong. And that is why, because of the fact that they are not taking it from the scratch, there is no way you will take it from the top and you will succeed. Let us take it from the, look, we have even the barbers today, they have an association.
Yeah.
Let us talk to these people. Look, you, these barbers, how do you think we can help you so that at least to reduce your cost of operations and you can maximize your profit? How do you think we can assist you? We will look at that. And when they look at that, they will now see how to solve it. Now, the Pepper Sellers Association, look, if you used to buy pepper, a basket of pepper for a amount, what do you think we can do so it can be reduced? You will dialogue with the people. Not if dialoguing, you will have an interaction with the people. They're not doing it. I'm telling you, I have done the statistics, I have done my research, I have done the homework that if we properly focus on agriculture,
but that has been the focus of this administration from the get-go.
It is just on paper. It is just on paper, and that is why, you see, apart from what I do, I have a farm, I run a farm. I know what it cost me. I know the stress I go through trying to feed my animals. Even in the poultry industry. Look, let me tell you today, before now, to feed, that is why we have the crates of egg going to almost about 2,000 naira. So many people cannot have egg again on their meal. And let me tell you, one of the major meal we must have, you must have one boiled egg in a day. Even at either at a small age, either at a grandpa age, one egg a day. It's good for you. It's good for your health. It's good for everything about your health. Now, how many people can afford it? A crate of egg is going to almost about 2,000 naira. Do you know why? Because of the fact that the cost of feeds are so high. Very, very high. Now, if the cost of feeds are so high, so it is not pushing so many. I know of so many poultry farmers today that have quit the business because it is no more lucrative. It is no more lucrative. Before, to feed 3,000 birds with about 900,000, 1 million, you will feed about 3,000 birds. But today, to feed 3,000 birds, you will need 2.4 million to feed 3,000 birds. And maybe the highest you will get, again, is about 3.1 million. That is total gross sales. That is all things being equal. Now, you now look at, when you now pull out the cost of feeding alone out of it, what you are now looking at, again, the cost of fund. You're now looking at, if you're looking at the cost of fund, you're now looking at operational cost. Again, you find that at least you are almost running at a loss. So, if the government is saying that they have taken people out of poverty, please, let them come, create, and again, we keep saying, create a forum where you can come to the studio, you will talk. There can be a phone-in program where people will call in and say, look, I'm a farmer, you have not helped me. And this is the reason why I'm saying it. This is the reason why I'm saying it. Not them sitting in Abuja or the CBN governor sitting in his office in Abuja and start brandishing figures. How well has the anchor fund? How well has it worked? Go and find out. You find out that most people that get even this fund did not put it into farming. And again, if you're talking about that maybe because of one thing or the other, this fund is not coming in because they're not doing well. Did they do insurance? You are supposed to take the insurance along when you are giving out such fund.
Okay, so let me go to Dikpo on this one now. Estimated cost of lifting 100 million Nigerians rather out of poverty in 10 years has been put at $1.6 trillion. That's according to a report I read. It was done sometime early this year. Is this the right way to go? What do we put this fund into?
So the question is, that was what I was about to ask you now. Where is the fund going to? Is it going to go into power? Is it going to go into infrastructure? Is it going to go into education?
For you, what do you think this fund should go into? For you, if you were to advise the government on expending this $1.6 trillion, where do you think it should go into for you?
Well, for me, I would say it should go into power, it should go into education, go into infrastructure. Because for me, taking people out of poverty, this isn't just about handing them money. We need sustainable plans to be able to say we're lifting people out of poverty by getting people productive. We need to have a very productive population. Now, we have a serious youth population of like 60%. And if we're still going with the figures that were around 200 million, that gives you a fair number of the numbers I'm talking about. We need to have a very productive population. If we're saying that we want to get over 100 million people out of poverty with that amount of money. First thing to focus on is education. We need a very educated population. We need a very, instead of having a very educated population now, we're not just talking about the four walls of a school. We need to go back to the technical schools. What's going on with the technical schools? A job report came out a couple of years ago that says that the most relevant jobs that will be out there globally in the next couple of years won't be the Ivy League degrees or the university degrees or tertiary institution degrees. They will be skilled labor. The question is, what are we doing to ensure that we're tapping into that market right now? How much are we spending? How much are we investing into that sector? So for me, education is one thing. Power. Once we're able to solve power in Nigeria, we'll be staying for a couple of years. A lot of things will fall into place automatically. Infrastructure. They have started doing that. Are they doing enough? They can do better. But for me, there are key sectors and also key policies that they need to make to ensure that you don't just say that you're budgeting a certain amount of money and then at the end of the day, we don't know where it's going to.
All right.
We need to be very deliberate about it. We need to be very strategic about it.
All right, Smart, you mentioned power, education, infrastructure. What will be your own points on this?